guys, what's up? It's Kyle Murphy, and you're listening to Down in the Valley with the Peel.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode number 3 of Down in the Valley. I am your host, Edson Ochoa, and today's a little bit of a special edition of Down in the Valley. Number one, because as you know, RGVFC is already in their off season, so there's not really much to talk about as far as roster changes or anything like that. More than anything, because the Houston Dynamo are still in playoffs, so that kind of makes it so we have to wait until the Dynamo is finished with their MLS Cup run before they start announcing roster changes, since they do control the sport aspect of RGVFC, which is kind of not disappointing, but it's like we really have to wait, especially when you start seeing all these other teams start announcing who they're going to be selling and everything like that. So who's going to be moving on, who's staying, who they're exercising their options and things like that. But we'll talk about a little bit about that later on. For now, we actually want to go ahead and dive into what happened with the USL. So the USL, obviously RGVFC did not make it to playoffs. San Antonio actually did, of course, but let's not go into that. So last time in episode 2 of Down in the Valley, if I'm not mistaken, we were left with after quarterfinals for each of the conferences. We know that San Antonio had defeated. Who did they defeat? All right, let me go. Let's check this out. Okay, so in the conference quarterfinals, we had San Antonio defeating Tulsa 2-1. OKC beating out Reno 1868 FC 1-0. And then you had Swell Park Rangers and Phoenix Rising tied in the regulation time. They ended up going into penalties where Swell Park Rangers won 4-2. Which it was surprising. Many people thought that Phoenix Rising was going to pass due to the fact they have really good players, especially with someone with such a high caliber like Didier Drogba. But in the end, it's not really all about players' names. It's more about, the group as a whole that will more than likely get you past your opponents in direct knockout stages. So those 3 games happened in the Western Conference. In the Eastern Conference, we had the Rochester Rhinos 2-1. They defeated Charlotte Independence in extra time. Then Charleston Battery completely being demolished by Red Bulls 2, who won 4-0 away. Then you had the Tampa Bay Rowdies, who defeated the USL darling FC Cincinnati by the score of 3-0. So that was for and then one more game. Two more games actually. So we had Louisville City, who also defeated Bethlehem Steel by the score of 4-0. And then you had Real Monarchs, who tied in regulation against Sacramento Republic, who ended up losing 3-1 in penalties. So that's it for the conference quarterfinals. So we went to the semifinals for the conference. So we had the Swell Park Rangers, who defeated Sacramento Republic 1-0 in the 90 minutes, as well as Louisville City, who defeated the Rochester Rhinos 1-0. Then the Tampa Bay Rowdies, who lost against New York Red Bulls 2 by the score of 2-1. And then in a game that many people would consider this result as a shocker, San Antonio FC tied in regulation against OKC Energy by scores of 1-1. Oh, hey, Blues fan. Yeah, it's just me. I'm the one in charge of All Valley stuff. Tip of Texas Sports Networks. I will be talking about Junior Gonzalez in a little bit. Just give me a couple minutes. So I'll let you know the little information that has been posted on the webs about Junior Gonzalez. But we'll talk about it later. Okay. So going back to this. So it was surprising because San Antonio FC looked like the better team out there. They had one of the best defenses, the best goalkeeper, I have to say, in the USL. They were playing at home. And they lose to OKC Energy in penalties with a score of 4-1. So it's sad. It's sad, I'm assuming, for all the people from San Antonio that are San Antonio FC fans that, I have the pleasure of interacting with on Twitter. Excuse me. But that's the thing. That's the beauty about playoffs. I mean, sometimes you get surprises, and that's what gives these direct elimination games that spice that is often needed in the world of soccer. So we head over to the conference finals. In the Eastern Conference, we had Louisville City, who tied against New York Red Bulls 1-1. They ended up winning 4-3 in penalties. It was a really good game, actually. And then on November 4th, we had the Swoke Park Rangers and the OKC Energy battle it out for Western Conference supremacy. It ended at 0-0. They ended up going all the way to penalties, where Swoke Park Rangers just managed to scrape by with a score of 7-6 in the penalty shootout. So they actually went into sudden death, which is I'm sure was probably going to be nerve-wracking for the fans from both sides. So, and then in the end, we had the USL Cup game. This happened on the November 13th, where Louisville City defeat Swope Park Rangers by the score of 1-0. And once again, the Eastern Conference proves themselves to be the better conference in the USL. Last year it was the New York Red Bulls 2. This year it's Louisville City, much to the dismay of FC Cincinnati fans. But you know what they say. So that was it for the USL Cup playoffs. And Harry, it sucked. Oh well, Harry. Not surprising. SAFC has never been in OKC Energy. Yeah, but I mean, with the powerhouse that Toyota Field had become this past season, where only RGVFC was able to beat them during the regular season. Maybe it was a fluke. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But you have to really say that for the most part, San Antonio had been very consistent at home. And so that's why I say it was shocking that OKC, even though history says that, the short history that San Antonio FC has in the USL, that OKC Energy has always managed to not lose against San Antonio FC. It's still surprising that they were able to defeat them the way they did at home. Especially, like I said, with players like Restrepo and goalkeeper. Then you have your defender of the year, Sebastian Ibiaga. So that was it for the USL playoffs. Those post-game comments after the Louisville City FC game. That's true, Cesar. That's true. Apparently, the announcers for the game announcers forgot to turn off their microphones after the game had ended, so you pretty much could hear everything that they were saying. Man, that's why you always have to make sure that you turn off the those darn microphones, because you you never know. You could probably say something that you might regret later on, or maybe something that's not family friendly. In the heat of the moment, you don't really care, or you don't really think about what you're really saying, especially if you think that nobody's listening to you. But that's just how it is. So now let's go ahead and hot mics. And, it happens to the best of us. I'm pretty sure one day it's probably gonna happen to me. Hopefully not this episode. So now let's go ahead and jump specifically into RGVFC, where, like I said, it's been pretty quiet when it comes to news about them. But it's normal for it being the off season. Houston Dynamo, like I said, is in the playoffs, so there's not really much you can do. However, there was you can call it a bombshell new piece of news that came out the beginning of the month. So basically, I mean, I didn't expect it. No, I don't think anybody did, because there weren't any leads that this was going on, behind our backs. But on the beginning of the month, you had RGVFC head coach Junior Gonzalez step down from the position because he was named to the LA Galaxy coaching staff. So if we look at what LA Galaxy has to say, the typical where Houston Dynamo, oh, well, thank you for everything you did, yada yada yada. The whole politics thing that they always do. Thank you for everything you've done, blah blah blah. Okay, so LA Galaxy has a little bit more news about this. So he's going to be an assistant under CG Schmidt. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong, but you know what they say. So he's going to be the assistant as well. Beside him, they also hired Philadelphia Union goalkeeping coach Ola Nikolov. So apparently, according to this article, Junior Gonzalez actually served, or he played actually under CG Schmidt when he was he was in college? Yeah. So when he won the 97 NCAA championship with UCLA, he was under CG Schmidt, apparently. I can't find it. I could have sworn I saw it somewhere. But it says that I didn't know he was a player, but yes, Junior Gonzalez won the 97 national championship with UCLA. And he also played with the San Diego Flash in the USL. And then before he retired, he played with the Utah Blitz. And 3 years later. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I could have sworn I saw somewhere, and maybe it was, let me check. Maybe it was Carson's article that he wrote about it. Okay, yes. So it says, that's true. That's true. So Junior Gonzalez, before he took on the head coach job at RGVFC, he was the coach in the Seattle Sounders too. And yes, in that time, C.G. Schmidt was the head coach of Seattle Sounders, the top team, the MLS team. So it says, as you probably know, as far as when it comes to RGVFC, it was a major letdown. Maybe you can say, well, that's because I know we've talked about it before, but I mean, they did take all of our good players from 2016, so it was going to be a rebuilding process. But I just didn't see much of an idea of what to do with the players that he actually had under him. So now I guess wish him luck in his next journey with the LA Galaxy. But according to Carson, who sadly wasn't able to be with us today, the general manager Matt Jordan has announced that the club is already searching for the next Toros manager. Still waiting. So he says, as far as traits they may focus on, both Cabrera and Gonzalez speak Spanish, which is important to connect with the players and the city. And it's vital that the Toros have a similar style to the Dynamo. So a coach that has worked with Wilmer in the past is absolutely a possibility. That's going to be very interesting. When Wilmer Cabrera took the job as the Dynamo head coach, one of the first things that he said in his first interviews was regarding with RGVFC. He said that he actually wanted the same style of system implemented from Houston Dynamo all the way down to the Brazos Valley Cavalry. So this is going to be pretty interesting to see who they're going to pick, and is that person going to be keeping the same kind of style of play as the Houston Dynamo? Because as you know, when Wilmer Cabrera was the head coach of RGVFC in 2016, the team was more possession based. You could just ask Charlie Ward. Even with the disability or the disadvantage of having a small practice field to play with, they were very possession based, and they made it to the second place in the Western Conference. So for the most part, they were pretty dominant. Just ask San Antonio FC. LOL. But now that he is with coach, he's coaching the Houston Dynamo. His style of play now is more counterattack, more. It's a quicker transition between defense and offense, and vice versa. So it's a complete 180 in his system from the USL with the RGVFC to the MLS with the Dynamo. So which one are they going to be focusing on? Are they going to continue to implement a possession style kind of play with RGVFC? Because that is more of what Wilmer Cabrera does or likes. Or will they continue implementing that counterattack style? And that would be very interesting to try to figure out, what kind of players then are we going to be bringing in order to fulfill that style of play. Because honestly, I don't want the same thing to happen that this past year with Junior Gonzalez, where you have players in your roster, but you don't know what to do with them because your system doesn't really go or doesn't really blend well with the kind of players that you have. So this was pretty much, you can say, a wasted year. So honestly, only thing I can say about this is that Matt Jordan better be quick, finding Junior Gonzalez's replacement. That way he can come in, look at the players that we have, look at the roster, and say, okay, so I need you to bring me this player, this player, this player, this player, or players from these positions. And that way they can come in during the preseason, and they're able to work on getting that play style, that chemistry as well, not fully implemented, because it still takes a while for all of that to kind of brew together, but give them enough time so that way when the season comes, they're not out there on the pitch looking like headless chickens. And I know I'm kind of exaggerating, but that's the only thing I can think of that kind of describes where it's just confusion because the players don't know how to play together yet. Because you're starting to bring in, you didn't get what you needed during the off season. Now during the season, you're kind of rushing to try to find a replacement from players that were let go by MLS teams. And I mean, we were lucky with Justin Bilyeu, who we got after he was cut from the New York Red Bulls. But we really need to work on getting the kind of players molded into the system, and that they're able to have good games during the season, because we do not want to be fighting for the lower positions like we did last year. That was embarrassing. And I know many people from the Valley that have mentioned that, and that's why a lot of people, have not gone to the games, because you go and you tell them, oh, look, we have a soccer team now in the Valley, yada, yada, yada. It's like, first thing that they ask you, what position are they in? Actually, I'm lying. First thing that they ask is, what league do they play? Which is already a difficult thing to want to answer, because even if you say MLS, they'll be like, MLS. Nobody cares about MLS, because they already have favorite teams with the Liga MX, and they're used to seeing that high quality of play, as well as European teams. So that is a disadvantage for the Toros in trying to get people to go to the stadium. And then you add the fact that you're losing a lot of games, that you're fighting for 12th position. It's very difficult to tell them to go watch you, because you're paying money, and I said it before in my little rant a couple weeks ago. You're paying money to see the product on the field. And I mean, in the Valley, you have a lot of soccer fans that, for the most part, know what they're talking about. They know what they're seeing. And you start seeing a team that has no idea when it comes to the attacking. They're all out of position when it comes to defending. Some players like Robbie Sagal not even putting in the effort to try to stop an opposing player from barreling into the goal. That puts them off. So we really need better players. If we want RGVFC to be successful in the pardon the redundancy, in the RGV. So that's pretty much it for when it comes to the Toros with Junior Gonzalez. Because just wish him the best, except when he plays the Dynamo, obviously. I always joke around with the guys from the PO, and I tell them, it's a dumpster fire to another dumpster fire. So guess what? That's gonna happen. So we do have a little bit of news from the USL that I really want to talk about before going on into our next segment, which should be going into in the next couple of minutes. So number one, we do have. Oh, actually, let me go ahead and quickly talk about. So Carson did. Excuse me. So Carson did the player evaluations for the postseason. Well, of all the positions and of all the teams in the roster that played, a decent amount of minutes with the team. So we'll go ahead and start with the forwards. So we'll go ahead and talk about. So let's talk about first about TJ Kastner. So he says he's one of the top performers for the 2016 Toros, and this. Before I go on, you can find this on dynamotheory.com. Just look for the section, The Bull and Its Horns, and you'll be able to find these evaluations in there. So TJ Kastner says one of the top performers for the 2016 Toros. He did have a tough time getting on the pitch early this past season, but once he got back into the rotation, the second-year winger was a big part of the Toros' attack. Jose Escalante made over 20 appearances with the Toros and really picked it up during the middle of the season. He knocked home 4 goals and a super aggressive player. One of the biggest letdowns, and I don't blame him for this drop in goal making, because the system he just didn't fit the system. Going back to what I said a little while ago, but Ruben Luna, after scoring so many goals the year before, so this year, it was a massive letdown for him. I'm sure, it hurts him. But going back, it was because we didn't play possession-based anymore, actually, we had no idea what we wanted to play. So it was difficult to get balls into the area that Ruben Luna would be able to bring it into the net. He also had, Camilo Monroy, the youngster, the young 19-year-old from Colombia. He says, when he played, he was explosive and exciting to watch. Unfortunately, he missed most of the season due to injury. The 19-year-old has incredible pace and creativity on the ball. And then you have my boy, Kyle Murphy. He was the primary beneficiary to Luna's down year. That's an interesting way of putting it. Murphy became the first choice striker and did well with the role because he's able to run in behind the defenders. His finishing was solid and he works hard on and off the ball. I really have to agree with that. And then you have also Francisco Pungo. Says another 19-year-old, Pungo showcased a lot of physical strength and speed, but not a ton of quality on the ball. He didn't feature until towards the middle of the season. So now you'll also have, let's go ahead and go with the midfielders. Let's do this quickly. So Eric Bird, who was the captain for the 2017 Toros, continued to show his versatility on the field. He played both in attacking and holding roles for the Toros. However, I did, obviously, for an attacking-based, player like Eric Bird, I preferred him playing as the cam role rather than the CDM. He looked very lost when playing as a CDM. All right, I think we have a quick question from Harry Austin. Okay. Hold on. So, Tip of Texas Sports Network says, high quality in Liga MX. Haha, sorry. MLS, I believe, has overtaken Liga MX. That's my opinion. I really respect your opinion, man. And I'm really one of the first ones to defend the MLS when it comes from the banter and the hatred by Mexican fans. I go to Monterrey a lot. So I get and have a lot of I go for Tigres, so as you can see by my scarf. So I get a lot of smack for supporting an MLS team like the Houston Dynamo, but I have to say that the MLS is not there yet. We're getting close, but they're not there yet when it comes to beating Liga MX team, mid-table, much less a team like Tigres, a team like Monterrey, or a team like America. The top three richest teams, and I know we have the salary cap, but even then, you can't say that all things equal, MLS is better than Liga MX. But then again, that is my opinion. I do respect yours. So thank you for your collaboration, Tip of Texas Sports Network. If you do have like a Twitter account or something, let me know to go ahead and put it in the chat, so that way I can go ahead and follow you. Maybe we could be some cool things, maybe some stuff that I don't know about Texas sports that I'd be interested in figuring out. So, and also Harry Austin says, how soon after the season do you think a coach is named? A couple weeks or months for the Dynamo? Like I said, I better hope that by the time the Dynamo finish their season, they should have at least have like a short list of like 2 or 3 people who they should probably hire for the coaching staff. And I did mention as to why. We need to know what kind of play we need to define, what kind of players we need to get, because that in and of itself, getting players might take a while, especially with the fact that all of these other USL teams have already announced their roster changes, and the Dynamo RGVFC did not. Thank you, Tip of Texas. Right. So going back to what I was talking about, okay, let's talk about the midfielders. So then we also had Emilio Garcia, battled injuries this season, but is a high-energy player in the middle of the park. He is aggressive, pushing the attack, and very willing to win back a ball via physical defense. He is also gifted on set pieces. Oh, my God. That 2016 goal, that goal he scored against, I'm trying to remember, was it Swope Park or was it Colorado Switchbacks? But he scored a very beautiful free kick goal from outside the box, obviously because it's a free kick. But it was a long distance. So Joseph Holland as well. The 2017 Houston Dynamo first round pick. Holland impressed me every time he played with the Toros. He's very creative on the ball and helps open things up in the final third. Jorginho James, just as he was in 2016, Jorginho is an absolute stopper in the midfield. He's remarkably strong and knows how to use his size. Actually, I was talking to my dad one of the games that we went to, and we both felt that Jorginho James, yes, he's strong, but sometimes he doesn't know how to use it properly. And we feel that he had gotten lucky many times from getting a red or a second yellow, because he tends to do this a lot. And I know against was it LA Galaxy 2, he got a direct red for that same reason, elbow to the face. So yes, he's strong, but he's got to kind of be more finesse about that battle for possession. Don't use your elbow too much, because you're big and you're tall, so any little movement like this and you already have an elbow to the head. So on the other hand, he's got more confidence on the ball and scored the Toros goal of the year, in my opinion. He did. Oh my God. I don't even want to talk about that, because he got snubbed really bad by the USL. But that was because it just so happened that week that he scored against Seattle 2, that wonderful goal, that was when Didier Drogba debuted. And so he scored, a regular header. And that goal won goal of the week. And the Jorginho James goal didn't even make it to nominations. That was where I realized, my name. Okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and follow you once I finish this. So he got snubbed because his goal didn't even make it to nominations. That's how we knew it was kind of rigged, so that way Didier Drogba could win it. Let's see, do we have anything else? Oh, Christian Lucatero. He's actually friend of mine. Well, a friend of my cousins. They played together back in the academies. Not the Houston Dynamo Academy, but like the local academy here in Houston. If I'm not mistaken, it's Space City FC. So like Holland, Lucatero was fun to watch every time he got a chance to play. He got more action this season, but it's still not enough in my opinion. He can make every pass on the field and has a natural gift from setting up teammates. Yeah, that's only if you have him playing in the middle of the field. I feel that he plays better there than out in the wing. He looks very lost in the wing. He kind of struggles trying to dribble past their opponents when he's on the wing. And so what he tends to do is he'll stop the ball, let the players come at him, and he'll end up passing the ball back to the other midfielders. So we ended up losing a lot of really interesting chances due to that. So, and we have my boy Charlie Ward, signed away mid-season by the Dynamo. Ward was sorely missed by the Toros. That's an understatement. Playing in him every minute in 2016. He was the conductor again to start the year. His distribution and football IQ are elite, and honestly, he was too good to be playing in the USL. That is so true. Todd Warden, he was unfortunately the guy that was plugged into Charlie's spot after he left for the Dynamo. He was solid in that role, often leading the team in passing, but it didn't seem to be his natural position. So now we're going to go to the defenders. Oh, I've talked about this before, and you'll get to see what I mean. So wait, okay, wrong. All right, there we go. So Kai Green, most likely Green was the best athlete on the Toros roster for the second straight year. He's got great pace, long strides, and big-time leaping ability. His delivery into the box needs to improve to take to the next step, but he has the intangibles physically. Kai also scored his first professional goal this year. However, he tends to get a little bit lost, gets to lose his position, but he's young. He'll get better. Victor Garza, who's an RGV native and a friend of mine, friend of my friends. They played in was it Edinburgh North High School? I think it was Edinburgh North High School. So Victor Garza brought some technical ability to the fullback spot. The one-time Tigres man also saw some time on the wing for Junior Gonzalez this year. Yeah, he played for Tigres. Way back. What was it? 2012, something around there. And he played in that game against Unión Española, where Tigres lost to Unión Española because Tuca Ferretti decided to just take a bunch of youngsters to play that game. So, but Victor Garza was actually one of the bright spots of that team, and that time he actually played in the left wing position. So, it's pretty interesting how Junior Gonzalez has him playing in the fullback. Robbie Sago. You've probably heard me rant about this guy many, many times. The hulking center back fell out of favor quickly in his first season for RGV. He was a central piece to some woeful performances by the Toros defense, often getting out of position and lacking the speed to erase those mistakes. Sagal is strong in the air, but struggled with the pace of the USL game, which is sad because it's second division. Man, just all I have to say is just look at the match highlights for that Sacramento Republic versus RGVFC, the one we lost 6-2. Just take a look at those match highlights, and you'll understand why I roasted the guy so bad many times throughout the season. Ivan Megales, a solid sophomore season for the Houston Dynamo 2016 Super Draft selection. Megales was a constant presence in the backline and improved on his distribution and poise from 2016. He did have a couple of major mishaps, including a red card, but he showed a big jump from his rookie campaign. Ivan scored 2 goals this season, including a dramatic equalizer against Phoenix Rising at home that you can blah, blah, blah. And then we have the newest signing, Justin Bilyeu. Signed mid-season after leaving the New York Red Bulls organization, who picked him up in the first round of this 2016 Super Draft. He immediately showcased his class and finished up in the season with 8 assists. Bilyeu has a solid pace for an outside back, also bringing in great vision and leadership. Leo Ayala, he had limited action this season. Kevin Garcia, the 2016 captain of RGVFC, he had an up and down time on his 2017 appearances. And I mean, it's logical because he did not have as much playing time as he did in 2016. So sometimes he looked a little bit rusty because he's out here in Houston and he rarely gets to play. Sometimes he offered a calming, familiar voice on the back line. Other times he wasn't able to replicate his form from last year, including a tough own goal against Swope Park. Taylor Hunter, he played last season with the Toros, then signed with Houston in the offseason. Hunter spent the majority of 2017 down in the Valley, and his play wasn't as steady as it was last year. Omar Ontiveros, who's another RGV native, he showcased his skills late in the season and maybe should have earned time earlier in the campaign. He is confident and skilled going forward. And let me go. All right, I think we have one more, and this one's just the goalkeepers. So after this, we'll go ahead and wrap up the RGVFC segment, and we'll go ahead and go with the Barracudas segment. So now let's go with the goalkeepers. So we have 3. We have Borja Anguitia. The Spaniard made 14 appearances this season and came away with 2 clean sheets. He was relatively steady in his time on the pitch, but it seemed the lack of consistent playtime negatively affected Borja. When it comes to the goalkeeper position, Junior Gonzalez was almost like Juan Carlos Osorio. Like, he's always rotating. He was always rotating the lineup, especially with the goalkeepers. So you would have Borja have a good run of form, and then all of a sudden, he's benched because the next player that I'm going to call needed some playtime too. So you have Marco Carducci, made 6 appearances on the season and had 0 clean sheets. Carducci didn't play well in his rare appearances and was third on the pecking order behind Borja and Houston Dynamo keeper Callie Brown. He's small. Small, like kind of small as in like he's really lanky. He's really thin. So he doesn't have that body, the body type typical of goalkeepers. So that made it difficult for him. So I don't know what's going to happen with Carducci, but I don't think it's his future's here with RGVFC. So Cali Brown, when he was loaned down from the first team, Brown was typically a calming, confident presence between the sticks. He led the Toros with 5 clean sheets, out of the ordinary. Cali made 2 very big blunders, allowing a pair of goals in the final matches of the season. Man, that one against Phoenix hurt really bad. That free kick by Didier Drogba, but for the most part, he looked really good. So that pretty much wraps up the RGVFC segment. So hopefully, like I said, we can get some news regarding the coaching stuff, but we have to wait for the Dynamo to finish. So we'll be right back in a couple of minutes. We're gonna go ahead and go on break. When we come back, we will be talking about RGV Barracudas, which is the MASL team for the Rio Grande Valley. So don't go away.
You have reached the voice.
And welcome back to Down in the Valley. Now we're going. Oh, hold on! I forgot my Barracuda scarf. All right, so welcome back to Down in the Valley. We talked about RGVFC, and now we're ready to talk about. This is going to be something different for Dynamo Theory. We're going to be talking about the Barracudas who play in the MASL for Arena Soccer, and to help me with talking about the Barracudas, we have as our guest a really very knowledgeable person, a friend of mine, who is Ray Silva. Ray, what's up?
Hey man, thanks for having me. Pleasure to be on your show.
Not a problem, man. Like it's been a long time. It's been a long time coming. Whether it was with RGVFC, but I guess now that Barracudas are starting their season, it just pretty much sped things up.
Yeah, it's been one of those things where it's just trying to bridge the gap while there's no USL action. I guess you have the indoor part of it to take care of the winter season while the USL and the United States Soccer Federation have their ongoing lingering issues. I guess MASL can bridge that gap a little bit.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping that is the case, especially with what I saw this past weekend, and we'll talk a little bit about that as well. But all I have to say is from what I saw when I was down there at the press conference, I gotta hand it to the Rubalcabas. They have a very, very precise. They know what they want both in the short term and in the long term with the Barracudas. And I mean, for having a team for as long as they've had, in Brownsville, and then making that step to moving to a really nice venue in the State Farm Arena in Hidalgo. That's got to say something on how well he has formed this team to be where it's at.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been a part of their project. I mean, back when the PASL was around, and it was just one of those things that I'm like, man, they've got something good going here, you know. And I've been a firm believer in their project, you know. And even when Luis Angel Landino was even a part of the team, I didn't get to go to many games that season. But it was just something that has been snowballing for them. And after they took a year off to reorganize and kind of hit the reset button a little bit, now although the results aren't where they want to be, you could totally see the hard work that they've put in to get themselves to where they're at now. And it's just one of those things like, okay, I like the progress that's going on here, you know, and it's just one of those things that they gotta have faith, and they just gotta have self-belief to keep pushing forward.
Yeah, and you know, I did hear as to why one of the reasons this team is struggling like they are in the beginning of the season, and you know more about this. We were talking about it, you know, during the day yesterday, and it's due to the fact that a lot of these players still haven't gotten their work visas, so they aren't able to play yet, and that is including the latest signing.
A lot of these teams, a lot of these teams in the MASL, they're usually counting on foreign players to, to have like a 50-50 type of mix on their rosters. And for us, fortunately enough, we live in a very talented hotbed area, which is the North Tamaulipas border and South Texas, and we try to compose our roster of about 75% from local talent, and then the rest we try to bring them on board, like our Brazilian defender Luis Mota. And he's just one of those players that has been a steady progress in the back line. But going back to what the visa issues now, a lot of these players, I mean, they stay down south to play in the Mexican football rápido, or which is indoor soccer in our terms, or arena soccer, and it's just been it's been a league-wide issue with regards to getting a lot of these players cleared, you know. And talking to other team representatives, they've been somewhat struggling to get the clearance visas, despite having a world mini football federation that holds the yearly World Cup as well too, which sees about 60% of players from MASL rosters participate in that world tournament. So maybe for me, it's just a matter of time when things get straightened out and everything gets taken care of with the important signing of Vicente Matias Buoso.
And you know, it doesn't help. You know, I really hate touching upon this, but you know, the political times that we're at right now just makes it a lot harder for this paperwork to be finished, this process to be finished in time, so that way these teams are able to get all of their foreign players up and running in the league.
Yeah, and it's just something that, unfortunately, I mean, it's such a difficult subject to talk about because, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, it's just times have changed now, and apparently there has to be like a lot of supporting documentation, whether he's played in the past or not, whether he's been at the international level and whatnot. So it's just one of those things that you know, it's just part of the protocol that that we need to go through to secure visas for a lot of our foreign players, and it's just one of those unfortunate things that has happened. And it's not only the Barracudas that have been affected, but most of the teams in the league that have great talented players that aren't on the rosters yet.
Yeah, so, I don't know. It's just pretty much relying on the bureaucracy to get things sorted out. But as we can see from the first 4 games that the Barracudas have played, the beginning of the season, it just hasn't been a good time for those players that do end up going out on the field. They in the opener they lost 8-4 against El Paso Coyotes. Then they lose 10-5 against the Florida Tropics.
Florida has a very talented team, and as I mentioned, as I put down as part of the game notes, the 2 of the players that used to play for Barracudas when they were in Brownsville, Victor Paredes being one of them. I mean, it was just one of those things where he played for the organization. He knew a little bit of the players that were part of the organization, and he was able to find a couple find some of the weaker spots, and then thus take advantage of that situation. And it's just the results haven't been there, but it's just one of those things where the team has to continue working, and it's just a work in progress right now. I mean, eventually we do have two very important games this weekend, because we take on Sonora on the road on Thursday night, and that game can be viewed on MASL TV or via the league's YouTube channel. And then our second opportunity to see the Barracudas would be live at State Farm Arena with a kickoff set for 5:05 against Turlock Express from California. And it's just going to be two opportunities to see the team to hopefully get the first W of the season,
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things that it's just a work in progress.
Yeah, and I have a question for you. How many of those the players that we have in this current roster, how many of them were from last season?
Since the team didn't play at all last season,
Or last playing season?
Last season, like I said, they took the year off to reorganize themselves and find their way into the State Farm Arena. And it was like one of those year-long negotiation deals with State Farm Arena. And out of the players that have experience with the Barracudas, I would probably say about 6 of our players from our current roster, and then sprinkle in a couple of those players that played within the league last year. I would say about another 5 or 6 players that played with the league last year.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a mixture of young talent and some older talent with the league with our team. So that's kind of the best way to answer your question there. But there are a lot of familiar faces to the team, because like I've said, the team has like a 70% RGV Northern Tamaulipas feel to it.
So pretty much the polar opposite of RGV with us, or with the Barracudas, the base of this team, or the platform of this team, is homegrown talent, which is nice, and I think that is a huge plus with the fan base in the Valley. I do, because I see the comments, and a lot of them they mention that that they're glad that we have a team that fully represents the talent here in the Valley, in the MASL. So before we go on, we do have to say we do have the two tickets to give for this game against the Turlock Express. So pretty much in the chat, YouTube chat, the first one to name me who scored the first goal for this season for the RGV Barracudas wins the two tickets for this Sunday's game. So just wanted to leave it out there.
There you go. Tickets will be left at will call, for the record.
Yeah, so just make sure whoever is the first one to mention it on the chat. Just go ahead and we'll try to when you answer the question, go ahead and leave your Twitter handle on there, or your that way I can go ahead and contact you via Twitter, and so I can collect the necessary information so we can leave it at the will call. So
absolutely.
What were you gonna say?
Yes, I mean it's just one of those things that I mean it was the Rubalcaba family has done such an exceptional job building up this roster and making sure that there's a lot of prime local talent. And one of those players who leads our team in goals right now is Ismael Pineda, who's a native of Matamoros, Tamaulipas. You may recall Pineda being with the Monarcas Morelia,
yes,
and winning the Torneo Superliga, a tournament that had teams from the MLS and the Mexican League back in 2010,
yeah,
if I'm not mistaken. So he's by far for a defender one of our best scoring players. And then we've got our one of our midfielders, Antonio Manford, who is from Cleveland Indian, who has a vast experience of being in the international stage, representing the USA in beach soccer, and played a couple of friendlies with the USA Arena national soccer team when Texas here in Texas when Mexico was invited for a series of international friendlies. So not only does it exist in the Rio 11 versus 11 soccer, but also in the arena realm as well too. So you have that little fiery rivalry between the two bordering countries.
Yeah, and it just pretty much gets really magnified. It's really magnified, this little rivalry between the U.S. and Mexico. With you have a team like the Monterrey Flash, who has won the indoor soccer leagues where they've been many times. They were they were actually part of.
There's a large. I want to say there's about a good 6 to 7 players that have ties to the RGV, whether they've played for La Fiera or RGV Flash in the past before. And for me, personally, it's going to be a special day for me because those are like the first set of people that I've worked with and had the opportunity to work indoor soccer, or that I've had the opportunity to work arena soccer. And it's just it's going to be one of those bittersweet days for me, where I get to see a lot of my old friends,
Yeah.
And no disrespect for them, but they're just a great squad, They're undefeated so far, and it's just right now they're division leaders right now at 3-0, and right behind them is El Paso. So it's just one of those things where we're gonna have to start plugging away one game at a time, and hope to catch a result here and there in our favor.
Yeah.
In order to make up some of the ground in the standings.
Yeah, and for them, I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But isn't what's his name? He used to be the president of Rayados. Is he still a part of the RGV? The Monterrey Flash?
Yes, I want Mr. Urdiales. Yes,
Yes,
I believe
Jorge
he still.
Riales.
Yeah, see, I believe he's still doing some consulting work, for them, at the present time for Flash. He's,
Hmm.
I want to say he's still, somewhat involved with them as a consultant basis.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on this newest signing with Vicente Matias Vuoso to
I
the
think it,
Barracudas?
I think it's a great signing. Now, if we can just get all the paperwork, sorted out, he's going to be of great help. And now, not only is Vicente, not only the only one pending paperwork, but we've got at least another five local players, all from either Reynosa or from Matamoros, that are pending visas. But we also got a couple of goalies, in Alexis Apodaca, being from Mexico City,
Hmm.
and Matias Novello, who is an Italian goalkeeper. And unfortunately, even though we've got their paperwork started in August, it's taken us this long to try to get their visas approved, and it's just a one thing or another that it just hasn't gone through. Just protocol wise, I mean, it's just something that, it's just a matter of days till they give us the green light on the visas.
Hmm.
So we're just hoping that as soon as they get all the clearance and all the green lights, we're hoping to put them on the active roster, and hopefully we can present them out there.
Yeah. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and show a little clip of the Vuoso interview that I had the pleasure of attending this past Saturday. So I really wanted to thank the Rubalcabas for allowing me to be with them. So let me go ahead and show. Uh,
And before you start the show, I just want to appreciate the platform that you're giving the Barracudas to promote them, to promote the team. And it's just one of those things, slowly but surely we're just gonna keep just keep working along, and we just want to see more. We just want the fans to come on out and support the team. You know, I mean, right now it's just the visa issues. It's just holding us back to have a more complete assembled roster. And go ahead with your video.
yeah. So go. Hopefully the fans will be able to understand that. So let me go ahead and show the video. All right, there we go. So let me know in the chat if you're able to hear it. If not, I'll go ahead and upload this separately on the Peel's account. But one of the interesting things that Vuoso mentioned was that he was looking forward to such a different endeavor in playing MASL indoor soccer, arena soccer, compared to playing with full 11 on 11 with Santos, with America, Atlas. More recently, he was in the Liga de Ascenso with the Correcaminos. But he also did mention that he's been 6 months, inactive. So, okay, Stud Muffin. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put it up on YouTube. So be sure to check it out. Yeah. Sometimes OBS can act so weird. So I'll go ahead and upload that separately, so you can hear what he said. But one of the things, like I said, one of the things he said, he was 6 months inactive. He was part of a reality. Was it for TV Azteca? For the I can't even say it right. Exatlón MX.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, the arena game is just a whole different monster. The best way I can describe arena soccer is, think of it as hockey on turf.
Mm-hmm.
The players aren't out there for the full 15 minutes of a quarter. I mean, it is just constant substitution on the run. Penalties are called a little differently. Of course, you have your yellow cards for cautions. You have your red cards for direct ejections.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the nuances of the arena soccer game is the blue card. You get shown one of those. You're down a man for 2 minutes, and you're just sending your best two defensemen and your best two defensive midfielders, and you're just hoping for like the best on that. And it's just a lot of self-discipline when you're down a man in arena soccer, and just hope that you can survive those 2 minutes, and while you send out your second or your third line out there to to try to settle the pace down a little bit from that power play.
And then you also have the whole sixth attacker thing as well.
Oh yeah, that's a very common practice in arena soccer, where you lose the goalie and then you put on your best striker or your best attacking midfielder to try to cut the distance or just to break a deadlock, and it's just one of those things where it's just one of those common practices, where you're down a couple of where. The commissioner, Josh Schaub, said it perfectly when the team was introduced. No 5-goal lead is safe, even with the sixth attacker.
Yeah.
And I have been around arena soccer for a few years now, and I've seen a little bit of everything.
Yeah, but and I think that's what makes arena soccer so attractive, how high energy it is, because you're playing in such a reduced field. You have no out of bounds, so more often than not, the wall can end up being, such a tactical advantage for you in the attack if you know how to use it right. Kind of like, almost like in hockey, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and it's just about. One of our players pointed out to me, it's just about a lot of anticipation. You got to be able to read and recognize anticipation so clearly, and it's just one of those things that it's very, very different from the 11 side.
Mm-hmm.
And I see it sometimes in their practices from time to time. So it's just a lot of training and a lot of strength and endurance to be out there for like a 2-minute shift.
Yeah. So honestly, like I said, I hope that people are able to go watch them in Hidalgo in the State Farm Arena. You know, especially since just the fact that he's played for America, that he's played for
Mm-hmm.
the national team. You know, that's gonna be very attractive for most of the citizens of the Rio Grande Valley. You know, to see a player of that caliber that you're used to seeing on TV. You know, who was one of the main reasons why Ivan was it the 20 was I think it was the 2000 and okay, remind me, is it was not the Brazil one, it was the one the World Cup before in the qualifiers where he scored that goal.
2006?
No, the South Africa one, it was the South Africa one. So
2010.
yeah, it's 2010. He was one of the reasons why Mexico made it to the World Cup with that goal against Canada. And I believe it was in the in the closing minutes of that match. Had he not scored that goal, Mexico would have been eliminated. So
Yeah, and not only that, but he was also part of that alternate team that Mexico sent down to Copa America in Chile back in 2015.
Yeah,
where where Miguel Herrera caught so much smoke and fire, and that ultimately cost him his job.
yeah, and I mean,
Although I do have my respective opinion about that. I mean, sometimes as a journalist, you gotta be a little bit more respectful, and especially if you come from a soccer country that also has like a rabid fan base such as Argentina, and
yeah,
and quite frankly, I'm probably on the minority on this, but Martinoli should have gotten the axe from TV Azteca for just there's only so much you have to be responsible for what you say, and apparently his mouth got him into some trouble.
I do have to agree somewhat with that. I have to be honest. I am a Martinoli fan because he says the things just how they are. Maybe he might over exaggerate to get the ratings, but he says the things that no one else tries to say, especially on the live transmission. In this case, it just didn't help that Miguel Herrera is one of those people where he hates being told, how he's doing his job. He is very temperamental. Turns out his daughter is temperamental as well. And I do have to agree. Maybe not get the axe, but get more. Should have gotten more than a slap in the wrist by TV Azteca. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that, especially in today's age. I mean, we just got to be careful how we say things and how we react to things, And it's just one of those things that going forward, it's just got to be more self-responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. So, and do you have any closing words regarding the future?
I just want to bring out the word. Come support our RGV Barracudas. We're like the new kid in town. Ticket prices are fairly affordable. We have fun entertainment. Lots of goals are scored, and it's just a safe, family-friendly event. If you don't have anything to do on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, I encourage the fans to come on out, give this team an opportunity to provide some entertainment. And tickets are as low as $10 in the arena. So if you have any questions, feel free to call the offices at 956-843-5658 and ask for Sal. He's the ticket salesman for the team, and it's just one of those things that we just want to provide another source of entertainment for the families.
Can you go ahead and repeat the phone number so I can put it up on the screen?
Yes, absolutely. 956-843-5658, and the operator is Sal. He is available from 10:30 in the morning to 5:30 in the afternoon, and we are just ready to have these 2 games this week, and it's the first, I believe, of like 4 weeks that we have 2 games in a week, where the team will be playing twice a week, whether both games are on the road or it's one road or one home game, and it's a very fun sport. It's challenging, but it's a real fun sport to play.
So I do have a quick question. This comes from Harry Austin, who's a fan from San Antonio. So he's asking how the Barracudas are doing as far as attendance-wise.
We're averaging about 1,200 people, which is pretty much just standard for the league right now. Because right now you still have the kids in school. Not everyone is on holiday break yet, and I think attendance spikes up during the holiday season, where there's last minute shopping to do, and maybe you're just looking for a night out in the family. So right now our average is about 1,200 people for our attendance so far.
And how many people does the State Farm Arena have the capacity for?
Approximately 5,400 for our events. Now, for other events, it does open up a little bit due to concerts and whatnot. And of course, you've got other tenants in there, as in the RGV Vipers, and
yes,
they have a little bit bigger capacity because the court doesn't take as much floor stage as it would for arena soccer.
Yeah, so like I said, I'll go ahead and repeat the invitation. You go ahead and fill the farm, fill that farm.
Yes, sir.
And hashtag fill the farm. Go ahead this Sunday against Turlock Express. What is Sunday at what time?
5:05 kickoff time. Now, if you're not able to attend, absolutely fine. You'll be able to watch the game straight at home with the play-by-play done by Oliver Cruz of Televisa Vision. He'll be doing the play-by-play in Spanish in case you're not able to attend. But please do make an effort to go out to State Farm Arena, fill the farm, and I'll have my sales guy, Sal, be there 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, ready to take down and ready to sell tickets over the phone.
And speaking of tickets, we do have a winner for the 2 tickets that we're giving away today. Cesar Cortez, he said correctly that the first Barracudas player to score this season was Ismael Pineda. So so you get to win the 2 tickets for this Sunday's game. Just go ahead and I'll contact you on Twitter, man. That way I can pass along the information to Ray, and he can go ahead and put it on well call, so you can go ahead and pick him up on Sunday, and you can take your date, man.
Absolutely, we look forward to seeing Cesar, and I'd like to thank you for the platform and the opportunity to come on board.
Not a problem, man. It's like I told Mr. Rubalcaba, is like, what I want is for all of professional soccer in the Valley to be successful, because it's something, we always complain in the Valley that there's nothing to do. And so now that we have 2 soccer teams, one outdoor, one arena soccer, what better than to go and support them, on the weekends, and, take the kids, have some fun, scream at the ref, because we always love to do that.
I don't highly encourage screaming at the ref.
Well, you know what they say. You can tell the fans pretty much what you don't want them to do, and they'll go ahead and do it anyway. But yeah, just keep it civil, guys. None of that whatever, please. We don't want Barracudas to be fined by the MASL. But yeah, go ahead and support your Barracudas. After, I believe, what's the next home game after this one?
After this one, we have a couple of road tilts in California where we return the trip to Turlock. And after that, our next home game from there would be on the 17th of December, where we take on Sonora.
Maybe they changed, but I think it says here on the 13th. I just opened up
13th,
Yes. Okay, so after this game against Turlock, the next game they play the Sonora Soles at State Farm Arena before visiting Turlock.
And an interesting fact about Sonora, they have a forward that used to play for the San Antonio FC, or the dreaded rival of
the
Toros.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Frank Tayu.
Harry, listen to that.
Yeah, he's a good one,
Mm-hmm.
Frank Tayu is a good forward, and let's just say that he's prominently always winning the Golden Boot here in the MASL.
So yeah, RGV fans, San Antonio fans, why not? Just one time when you can, you come down to the Valley, and if you like, you might like arena soccer. And
I'm pretty sure San Antonio has plenty of arenas available. Like, I don't know, the what's that the Freeman Coliseum,
mm-hmm.
where they used to play some hockey back in the mid-90s.
Yeah, and who knows? If they have enough people coming down, they might get the attention of somebody up there that might want to create a franchise in the MASL. You never know.
Yeah, it would be a nice friendly rivalry. Just a little 4-hour trip up north and come back down that same night. The MASL has a lot of room to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Quite honestly, it does. And that's one of the nicer things about arena soccer is that the niches are there for a lot of these cities, like San Antonio,
mm-hmm.
Dallas, which is suspended operations for at least this season, and several other cities like Chicago. They're restructuring a little bit,
mm-hmm.
and you got a couple of teams in Arizona and Colorado that are restructuring. But it's a fun times right now for arena soccer.
So yeah, thank you so much. Also, Harry says that it is. You have the Freeman, and they can also use the AT&T Center. So before we let you go, because we know that you also do a little bit of studying on the Toros, and I haven't really asked you on the show. So why do you think? Because I asked this because Stud Muffin asked me on the chat. He says, why can't the RGV fill the HEB Park? What is your take on that?
Oh boy,
you can go all out.
No, I this has nothing about going all out here. A lot of it has to do with marketing of the team. I know here with the Barracudas, because I can't, not that I'm going to be dodging the question, but I think it's just different marketing tactics,
Mm-hmm.
I know with the Barracudas, we partnered up with a local marketing firm who has been a great tool for us this season. They've given us ideas of how to do our social media and whatnot. and it's just one of those things. I mean, it's just one of those things that if you find like the right partnership with your marketing, I think it will. I think it could lead to like bigger and better things, and it's just a matter of bonding and establishing and growing those relationships, like the way the Barracudas have with this marketing firm that they have, and that's why that's what I think of this situation now. You're asking me directly about HEB Park. I went to the inaugural game of HEB Park. Was it packed? Absolutely. Could they do a better job of selling it? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. I think they can do a better job of selling it, and it's just a matter of bonding and making those of bonding, mending, and making those relationships happening. And it's just got to be a lot of self-belief from the top of the organization, and that's pretty much the reason why it's not so much a constant struggle to sell out, but it's just one of those things that it's got to be like a total front office effort to do their thing. They just got to be. It's just got to be constant, free-flowing communication, and I believe that's what I truly believe. That's the primary key: free-flowing communication with the partners.
Yeah, I know. If I recall correctly, for the inaugural game, not the Rayados one, of the season. That's another story. No, because that one was completely full, but that was mostly Rayados fans from Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. That from Monterrey, even in the Valley. That went to go see Rayados, not really to go see the Toros. But what I'm talking about is the inaugural match of the season against San Antonio FC. And Harry, I'm pretty sure, and all of the San Antonio fans following me, won't let me lie, but they were having problems accessing the tickets from online. Apparently, they put in, I think, based on IP address or IP location, they did not allow San Antonio fans to order their tickets online. So they were having problems with that. I'm not sure if it was, because it was intentional, or they were just ironing out bugs in the system, because I think they did everything from scratch with the inauguration of the stadium. So hopefully someone mentions here.
I'll be completely honest. I even struggled to get my tickets online. So I think I will defer with the latter, with the bugs thing, because I was able to buy mine online until later on, like when they went like active online on the first couple of days. Yeah. Or I had some struggles, but I was able to get into the stadium myself, and I had a great time despite the result. But it was just one of those things where I think it's just only a matter of time until the system just meshes completely. I'm more of an old style type of guy where I like to buy my tickets from home, print them at home, and then just take them with me to the stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, because now apparently they implemented flash seats as well.
Oh no, that's another topic for another day.
and you know what? I'll be happy to have you on to talk about that when it comes to flash seats. But I'll try to have you on, as a recurring guest when it comes to the Barracuda segment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd honestly love to have you on, and I think it now pretty much. I think for next episode, I think we can even add a little bit of Liga MX, especially now that we're in the semifinals. But right now I'm at an hour and a half of the show, So, I could have loved to talk about, the semifinals. Rayados is going to be facing Morelia, and Tigres is going to be facing America, but just not enough time. So, hopefully, if we do get the Final Regia, it'd be awesome topic to talk about here at down in the valley. But other than that, thank you so much for being on, for accepting being on the show. And like you said, I'd love to give the Barracudas, a platform for. I know I have very few people that follow me, specifically with Down in the Valley, but it's a lot. It's more. Any little bit helps, Yeah. So,
next time you're in the valley, and there's a game that weekend, you'll have a seat right next to me inside the media suite. How about that?
I'd actually love that, man. I'll let you know whenever I do make it. Hashtag Down in the Valley. And I'd love to make it to Barracudas games. I remember going to seeing the Flash, seeing La Fiera. It'd be great to be there again. But thank you so much, Ray Silva. Do you have go ahead and let my public know your Twitter handle, where they can find you at, so that way they can follow you. They're interested in
Twitter handle is cardpicker86.
Okay.
That one is the freelance sports topic I can talk about, and about Liga MX semifinals. I'm just afraid there might be too much mudslinging going on.
Oh, Liga MX is it's so passionate, especially between the Monterrey teams, But
yeah.
It's typical. But as long as it doesn't turn violent, like it happened last time, it's fine. I mean, my parents and my sister go for Rayados. I'm a Tigre. And on my mom's side of the family, half of them are Rayados, half of them are Tigres. So I'm used to that kind of rivalry and the banter and everything like that. But yeah, once again, man, thank you so much for being on. I'll let you know when I'll have my next show, and you can go ahead and call you so you can be a guest on as well. And do I go ahead, like, if I want to have like a player or the coach on the team, do I let you know, or how would that work?
Yeah, we can set up something like that. Yeah, definitely. And primarily, I can set up something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. Yeah, that'd be something pretty cool. But I'll let you know once everything starts settling down here now, because as you know, we're still with Houston Dynamo and the MLS playoffs. So tomorrow we have the regular Peel episode talking about that. So thank you so much, man. And
no. Thank you for giving me the team and me the opportunity to be a part of your show.
Not a problem, man. All right, have a good night, and say hi to the Rubalcabas for me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Good day.
So that was Ray Silva, a friend of mine from the Valley. He works for, as he mentioned, he works for the Barracudas. Let me go ahead and go to to my chat. I know we're past an hour and a half, but that's fine. All right. So it says tickets did not go on sale until the week of the game. You cannot order online or over the phone. That is true. However, I did have, back when I was La Carga Naranja, I did have some San Antonio fans, kind of ask me that week that they couldn't access them online. And so I pretty much told them that they would have to go in person in order to purchase them. And I think they did end up getting them online, or actually in person, but it was a big struggle ordering them online. So hopefully they get those bugs fixed before the beginning of this next season. They don't have any more. They don't have any more excuses. It's already been a year since they opened the stadium, so and they've already gotten used to how many people end up going. So there's no excuse. It says, okay, so I called several times. Nice sales lady, but said it was just not ready. Don't think it was an IP issue. Yeah, that's what they mentioned to me. That lady from San Antonio told me that. That's what she thought. I went to go ahead and help them out anyway. It says, Stud Muffin says, I don't like getting tickets online for Dynamo games. It's cheaper to call on the phone. Pretty much, yeah. When it comes to the flash seats, especially now, I mean, it's normal because it was a playoff, so the prices were marked up a lot, But yeah, it's cool to be able to transfer your tickets really easily, with your friends just using your account, But when it comes to actually buying the tickets, it's a tedious process, both buying and for selling. Because when you want to buy a ticket, you're pretty much on a wait list. You're bidding. You're pretty much bidding for that ticket. So you put in the bid, and then you have to wait until if somebody else puts in a bid, and then if somebody else puts in a bid, and you have to wait until the person who's selling the ticket decides which bid he wants to go with, or if he even wants to go with any one of those bids at all. So by the time you know it, it's like an hour before the game, and you barely got the notification that you got the ticket. But you probably live in Pearland, or you probably live outside, and you're not gonna make it to the stadium in an hour, especially with traffic how it is. So, and as for selling, yeah, you kind of wish that it wasn't a bid. You just want it to be like, okay, I'm posting my ticket at this location. I'm asking for this much money, and somebody comes in like, okay, and that's how much you're selling it. There's no bidding involved, but you have to bid, so that takes a while, So there has to be something better than flash seats. Why not? It'd be better to just do it the old-fashioned over the phone. But I mean, to each their own, I guess. We live in a society that is very technologically dependent now when it comes to almost everything. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but there's still kinks in the system. You can't, it's not at a level yet where you can just discard the legacy version, you can say. So one thing that I'll go ahead and talk quickly about it if I can find. So if I can find something about it, Harry, you did mention to me about the Laredo Heat moving to the MPSL. If I'm not mistaken. So Laredo Heat Soccer MPSL, because you mentioned that apparently it was barely released today. Quetzal Pumas, Laredo Heat. Sorry, let me see if I can find it on Google. Heat SC. Okay, so in fact, this article just came out 3 minutes ago from the Laredo, LMT, is it Laredo Morning Times? Yeah, Laredo Morning Times. This article was written by Zach Davis, and it was published 9/21. It's 9:38. So a couple of minutes. He says, a little more than a week ago, Laredo didn't have a single professional sports team. Now it has two. So following a 2-year hiatus, the Laredo Heat Soccer Club is returning to the Gateway City. The Heat will be an expansion team as part of the National Premier Soccer League in 2018, the MPSL. The city of Laredo has also announced the return of the Tecolotes Dos Laredos on November 20 to compete in this year's Liga Mexicana de Baseball campaign. Okay. All right. So the Tecolotes is for baseball. What I want to focus on is the Laredo Heat. So the Valley has, I don't want to say rich history of rivalry with Laredo, because previous to the Toros, our Valley teams really didn't last long. The Bravos lasted 2 years. The Grandes only lasted 1 year. But it was such a fierce rivalry between the RGV and Laredo, even with our supporters groups. My best friend was the founder of the supporters groups for los RGV Bravos, La Raza Brava, and they traveling to Laredo was dangerous. Fights. Laredo supporters groups throwing beer and you get the point. It was a really fierce rivalry. It was just short-lived. I believe if the team had lasted longer, it would have been such a fierce rivalry between both cities, both regions, both teams. So they had a 2-year hiatus. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but Laredo Heat was in the USL PDL for many years, but then the PDL, they changed it for it to be an under 23 league, so that pretty much messed up. Then all right, so it says founded in 2004, MPSL. Let me see, 2004. Yeah, it was the USL Premier Development League. And they came out in 2004. Now they're going to be in the MPSL. So I really wish them the best. It says, let me see if I can find something else that I could talk about here about the Laredo Heat. The Heat will be heading to the MPSL's newly formed Texas Conference. Last year's league featured 2 different divisions that included Texas teams as part of the Heartland and Lone Star conferences. Among the in-state franchises each were made up of the Dallas City FC, Fort Worth Vaqueros FC, the Houston Dutch Lions, and Justin talks about them with the Houston Hoedown, Houston Regals SCA, the Midland Odessa Sockers FC, and Tyler FC. And the Dutch Lions and the Sockers were in the Mid-South Division in the PDL with Laredo in 2015. So it's gonna be some rivalry between those teams, especially since they've seen each other since the PDL. And the Heat does have some history in the U.S. Open Cup. They were in that tournament 5 times, and they were tied with 5 other teams in the deepest Open Cup run in PDL. Laredo made it to the 4th round before losing to the Houston Dynamo 1-0 in 2014. So it's gonna be very interesting how that's gonna play out. If they can make a competitive team just like they did at that time, going head to head with the Dynamo and only losing 1-0. Maybe even if the Dynamo played with reserves, that's still saying something. So I wish Laredo Heat organization the best. So and looking to make kind of talk about it a little. I know they're not really technically from the valley, but it's still part of the border. So it'd be pretty interesting, that little rivalry between me and Justin. Me talking about the Laredo Heat and him talking in the Houston Hoedown about the Dutch Lions. So that's gonna be pretty fun. But other than that, this pretty much wraps up today's episode of Down in the Valley. Once again, I want to thank every one of y'all who are here watching this live stream today. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate your support of this project. We're barely in our third episode, but you got to start from somewhere. And once again, thank you all. I want to thank Ray Silva for coming in and to as a guest today. Do you think Corpus Christi will get a team D3 or D4? I know there were rumors that Corpus Christi was looking to get a team. I thought it was in the MPSL as well. Let me look it up real quick. Corpus Christi. Because I heard there was okay. So all right, I understand. So Corpus Christi actually has a PDL club right now, the Corpus Christi FC. So that's that's something. You can say it is PDO, but Corpus Christi will have a semi-pro team. So I don't know if that's asking your question, but as far as getting, like, for example, in the USL or anything like that, it might. I guess seeing they're gonna try and see how the PDL club ends up working if they get support before they can say, oh well, we'll go ahead and move on to get a USL team, a USL D2. I know they are gonna have, or maybe even the USL D3. It's gonna be starting in 2019. It gives them enough time to kind of test the waters with the PDL and seeing, and if things work out, they might make the PDL franchise. Or I don't know how it's gonna work, but they might move the PDL franchise to become D3, and maybe if they have promotion relegation, which they're saying they are, between USL D2 and USL D3, you might see them play against the Toros. You never know. But for sure, they're gonna be Corpus Christi FC are gonna be playing against the Brazos. No, wait, yeah, the Brazos Valley Cavalry. So yeah, Harry, they are getting a PDL team announced on October. So like I said, this pretty much wraps up our episode. Almost 2 hours, guys. I originally had this plan for only 1 hour, but I ain't complaining. It's awesome. There's just a lot of talk about soccer in the Valley. So thank you all once again. I can't say this enough, and hope you can join us tomorrow for the Peel. We're gonna be talking about what happened last week between the Dynamo and the Sounders, and what can happen, or what should happen, or what we hope would happen, or what will really end up happening on Thursday, for the second leg of the Western Conference Final. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. It's going to be Justin, Josh. Wait, no, Josh, no. It's just going to be, I think it's just going to be Justin, Sean, and myself tomorrow. Because Josh is going to fly to Seattle to go see the game tomorrow. So I wish him a good trip over there. But join us tomorrow. We're gonna be at Eighth Wonder at 7. The live stream is gonna start at 7 p.m. like always, live from Eighth Wonder Brewery. So if you're in the Houston area, you're more than welcome to go and watch us live. There's good food. There's good food there. Really good hamburgers there. Some good beer. Even though I don't drink, I'm more of a tequila guy. But that's another different story. But yeah, join us if you can. So let me go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much. Have a good night, and go Toros, go Barracudas, and forever orange. Good night.
Días, pues tu llegada a Barracudas, platícanos cómo te sientes. siento contento, la verdad, de emprender un proyecto nuevo con gente nueva, con gente que de entrada me trató muy bien, entonces creo que es una alegría para mí estar acá y hacer lo que me gusta, que es jugar al fútbol, ¿no?
Una nueva etapa, ¿no? Un fútbol más rápido.
Sí, me estaban comentando, venía con algunos chicos del equipo y me comentaban que era muy diferente, que es muy táctico, es totalmente diferente a lo que uno está acostumbrado, pero creo que le entiendo algo, trataré de adaptarme lo más rápido posible y trataré de ayudar lo más que pueda.
Cambiando el estilo de juego, sabemos que vienes de Santos, de América, has estado en Atlas también. El estilo de juego, en este caso, exige un poquito más de rendimiento físico. ¿Cómo te sientes tú de tomar esta decisión hoy en día?
En el tema físico me voy a estar preparando en lo que se termina de gestionar la visa de trabajo y para llegar de la mejor manera. Digo, eso es una realidad, tengo que trabajar para estar bien. Digo, hace 6 meses que no juego profesionalmente, entonces obviamente me voy a tener que poner a punto, pero eso lo voy a hacer enseguida.
¿Qué le dices a la gente que va al estadio, que ahora te van a ver a ti, que se motive, ¿no?, a ir a apoyar al equipo?
Que se motive por el equipo, no tanto por mí. O sea, digo, esto es un equipo de grupo, es un juego de equipo y más en esto, ¿no? Que sabemos que es quizás en otro momento, en otro tipo de juego, ¿no? Pero esto es de equipo y ojalá que vayan y que se diviertan, ¿no? Creo que ojalá podamos llevar un lindo espectáculo y que se vayan contentos cuando se vayan de la cancha, esa es la idea.